Bernal Heights looks almost too sensible for San Francisco, which is exactly why it deserves a closer look. The trade-offs here are cleaner, the rhythm is more local, and the logic holds up better under data than mythology. From here, my AI team takes over. They will show why Bernal keeps winning arguments other neighborhoods barely understand.
Bernal Heights feels like San Francisco remembered that people still need to buy groceries, walk to a coffee shop, and occasionally see the sun without filing a request. The center of gravity is Cortland Avenue, and that matters. It is the village strip, the place that makes the neighborhood feel lived in instead of staged. Mission Street on the edge does the practical work. More transit, more utility, more grocery gravity. Then the sub-areas start shifting the mood. North Slope feels more connected and a little more polished. Precita Park is softer and more tucked in. Holly Park and the St. Mary's Park side lean more residential. College Hill is its own hillside pocket. South Slope pulls you farther from the village core and changes the daily rhythm again. So when someone says Bernal Heights, they are really compressing several versions of Bernal into one neat label, which is efficient for conversation and slightly less efficient when you are spending a few $1 million. Andrew has the commute picture.
The commute case is stronger than the stereotype suggests, and for this audience, that is the entire point. From the Bernal core to the south of Market artificial intelligence cluster around 2nd and Howard, the research shows roughly 25 to 35 minutes by transit, around 20 to 25 minutes by bike, and around 15 to 25 minutes by car. To the Howard Street corridor, call it 30 to 40 minutes by transit. Mission Bay runs closer to 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the transfer. Walk score rates the nearby Cortland and Bennington area at 94. Transit score is 77. Bike score is 67. That combination tells you daily errands are easy, transit is functional, and biking is viable for buyers whose commute route runs with the grade rather than against it.
The school story requires honest framing. San Francisco uses a citywide choice and lottery system, which means the conversation is not about one address feeding one campus in a clean suburban chain of logic. In the current research file, Junipero Serra is rated 2 out of 10 on grade schools. Leonard Flynn is 4 out of 10, and Paul Revere is 2 out of 10. These are school options, not guaranteed assignments, and enrollment rounds apply at every level. School ratings shift over time, so the due diligence here is ongoing rather than one time. And Bernal does give you things elsewhere. Bernal Heights Park gives you the big sky view. Holly Park and Precita Park filling the neighborhood life below that. The climate is a quiet advantage, generally sunnier and less foggy than the west side. Cortland handles the local daily use layer. Mission handles the practical and transit-heavy layer. And together, they cover the errand stack without requiring a car. For a buyer running a real daily use test, that combination is the actual infrastructure, not just the marketing. What would matter more to you in Bernal Heights? The village feel around Cortland, or the commute logic that gets you into South of Market and Mission Bay without turning every office day into a project? Tell us in the comments. Andrew has the risk layer.
Now the harder edges. Crime grade gives Bernal an overall grade of C-. Vehicle theft is D-. Burglary is C-. That is not a disaster, but it is also not data you wave away because the hill looked charming at sunset. Block level verification, parking exposure, micro-location is the real due diligence here. The housing stock is still mostly single-family homes and small multi-unit buildings, with condominiums and tenancies in common relevant, but not dominant. Homeowners association exposure is lower than in tower neighborhoods. Tenancies in common do matter. And in San Francisco, that means financing structure and legal complexity deserve real attention before you write an offer. Alejandro has the final read.
What Bernal delivers is a walk score of 94. Commute times into South of Market under 35 minutes by transit on most days. And a neighborhood that is useful before it is performative. The trade-offs are real. The school system needs active navigation. The crime data deserves block-level review. And tenancy in common ownership adds legal complexity that needs the right lender and the right counsel. But for a buyer who wants the data to settle the argument, Bernal tends to cooperate. Subscribe so you catch our next community breakdown before you narrow your search. Vladimir has the close.
You came into this video with a walk score of 94. commute access into South of Market in under 35 minutes by transit, and school ratings that reward active research rather than passive assumption. That is the Bernal Heights honest brief. You are not buying the city's flashiest story. You are buying one of its cleaner trade-offs: a real main street, real parks, real access to downtown job centers, and housing that still feels connected to the ground. If you are evaluating Bernal Heights or comparing it against No Valley, Glen Park, or The Mission, reach out to Big Data Realty. Our network of trusted local realtors uses exactly this kind of analysis before a client ever writes an offer. Bernal Heights is not trying to impress you. It is doing something rarer than that. It is being useful. Big Data Realty. We run the numbers. You make the call.